Marty, this is going to be an interesting one. This is a different sort of podcast we're doing today.
Thanks for inviting me down here. I'm pumped. I'm totally pumped. Like what a week. I mean, when you first, well, we'll get into it. So do your normal spiel. Introduce what's going on here.
Okay, so the preamble, folks, ladies and gents, welcome to the live stream. Running a little bit late, a couple of technical problems here just to get off the ground, but that's fine. So we're live now in Austin, Texas, and brought Marty out here.
State capital
of Texas. That's right. And so we're going to be doing the usual Wednesday Marty and Clyde show, which we do every week. We've been doing it for about 2.5 years now. Yep. So if you're just new to the channel, you haven't seen this show. This is how it works. We're going to be doing this live. We've been doing this for about 2.5 years, and we always did it as just a pre-recorded thing. We just record it privately and then air it on Thursday mornings. But then a few months ago, we decided, hey, why don't we take the show live? And so this is the format. For the first about 50 minutes or so, we talk just with ourselves, and that's going to be what ends up getting published tomorrow morning. But the bonus fun part about the live stream is we're going to take Q&A afterwards. So stick around. Don't leave.
Which was the challenge for us today, figuring out how to do the Q&A, because we're not in your studio. We don't have our normal technology. So the Q&A right now is going to be on a phone.
It's on my phone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking at the chat. So for the first hour or so that we're recording, you might think, oh, is this a pre-recorded thing? And you're just putting it out live. No, this is live. We're live with you. And we're not going to be paying attention to the chat for the first hour, but then afterwards, that's going to be the Q&A. So if you have any questions, you have any statements, any
the usual.
Yeah, profanities. Just keep the profanities down, and we'll just play it by ear with that one. So right out of the gates, is Clyde living in Texas now? No, I'm not living in Texas just yet. I'm still in Canada. We're just on a trip. We're on a trip, and we're gonna make this something else. But hey, while we're here, so that's the preamble.
So welcome to Texas. I cracked this already earlier.
Right. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Marty.
Yes.
This is an interesting one we're doing today.
Well, what I'm laughing at is just a little bit of context. We're supposedly in the middle of a trade war with the U.S.
Yeah.
I left Alberta this morning. I got up at 3, got on a plane at 5. By the time I landed here, I looked at the stock market, and I guess the war's over.
The war's over. Isn't that something else? So let's go through
And the
this.
reason I'm making that statement is because the stock market's had a crazy rebound today. Like everybody was saying, okay, Trump is destroying the economy globally, blah, blah, blah. But the stock markets went crazy today, and then we're wondering why. And I guess Trump reverse some of his decisions on tariffs, but we'll get back to that, I guess, maybe a little bit later.
Okay, we'll get back to that because
yeah.
I have some stuff here on my phone because we're not gonna be popping anything on the screen today, but I have some stuff on the phone to cite or to at least talk about. Now, dragged you down here to Austin, Texas. I came down on my U.S. passport, so crossing into the United States, not a big deal. I had no issue. We're hearing reports that people are being harassed at the airports. And I mean, it's just BS from CBC, scaremongering people with this whole elbows up thing to don't go to America. You're going to have a hard time. It's going to be rough for you.
Nothing further from the truth than that. I mean, yeah, they had me worried. Like I left the house this morning, my wife's like, you better, hide your phone or scrub your phone. They're confiscating phones. They're doing this or doing that. I showed up at the airport. It's true. The airport's empty. Nobody's coming down right now. Maybe it's partly because it's
a seasonal thing.
It's a seasonal thing, right? It's not April. It's April. Nobody goes to Mexico. But anyways, I showed up at customs, and the guy just waves me in, and I'm getting ready to be grilled or whatever. He's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Austin." He's like, "Got anything to declare?" "No." "See you later." I didn't even have a hotel because you called me so last minute.
It was so last minute.
So last minute, right? And I'm filling out the forms, like, where are you going to stay while in Houston? I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to stay. And I thought he was going to ask me that one. I was worried about that. Like, where are you staying?
Yeah, you need at least a zip code. Tell them your
I got on the internet. Well, I'll say it. I got on the internet. It's like, the Marriott downtown whatever, 78130. Put it on the form. Done. Good enough.
Done. They didn't care.
Done. Yeah. Yeah. But no, crazy trip because I was getting ready when you called me on Monday morning. No, I wake up on Monday, and during the night you had texted me like, get your ass down here in Austin. And I called you, right? We talked, and my first gut was to make an excuse to not come down here because I had a busy week already planned. I went to when you called me, I was 1 foot out the door. I was on my way up to Edmonton to go see the Pierre Poilievre rally.
Yeah, right.
So I was going to say, I can't really do this. But then I heard the tone on your voice, and you're like, no, you got to get down here. This is awesome. So I'm like, okay. Once I got in the car, I told somebody else, you drive. I got to do some figuring out to get a flight down here, and I got a flight. And
How easy was that?
Oh, dude, actually, I flew down here with United Airlines. Mm-hmm. Brilliant airline. And they're ranked one of the lower ranked American airlines. Mm-hmm. Head and shoulders above anything Canadian. Get on the plane. The boarding was fantastic. The agents took care of everything. He had a map of all the seating. He's moving people down. Here, put your bag there. Do this. Don't sit there. The middle aisle is empty. Take that other seat. And then took off on time. Everything was fine.
You landed early.
Yeah, about 10 minutes early.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and cheap. Well, relatively cheap. So yeah. So for the folks, I was in Calgary this morning. Then I landed here, and the first thing we did, as good old Texans, we went to the gun range.
That's right.
Yeah.
Went and shot some guns.
Shot some guns. Then had some barbecue. Then a quick walk around town, and then here we are. Yeah.
And well, today we're drinking the Native Texan. This is, it's just awesome.
Cheap. Awesome beer, cheap.
Awesome beer, cheap. It's Native Texan by the Independence Brewing Company. You got to love that. One thing I love about this state is just the national pride, but also the state pride. You see it everywhere.
Like I said, on the plane, the staff moving us on the plane, they're happy. They're doing their job, even though it's 4 a.m, right? Nobody wants to be working at 4 a.m, but they did a good job. Look at the gun range today, man. I'm worried. Do we need ID? Do we need that? The guy's like, no, I got you taken care of. Do I need some headphones? Dude, they're right here. They love, everybody here is working and is engaged. Mm-hmm. But because they have to work, because they can't rely on government like we do back north, And
so here's one of the biggest things that...
And let me just finish. The restaurant, right? Right down to the restaurant. We show up at the restaurant. I've never been to this restaurant. And so we're asking questions like, what's better, your brisket, your pulled pork? The guy's happy to answer, here, take a piece of this, whatever. You don't feel it doesn't feel like you're annoying them. Mm-hmm. Ask questions of somebody in a restaurant in Calgary half the time. They feel like, well, you're annoying me. It's like, well, I'm
if they speak English.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big things that I noticed. So the other day we were at an In-N-Out burger because I was like, I got to try all these different burger joints.
Yeah.
Because I'm always I talk to my wife about burgers all the time.
Yeah.
She's like, what are burgers for Western people? Because she's Japanese.
Yeah.
She's like, what is a burger for you? I'm like, a burger is everything.
Is it your sushi? No, I don't know.
Well, it's weird because you have high-end burgers, low-end burgers. You have people that
Monster burgers that are, yeah.
People drive across state lines to try that burger, but then at the same time you have just crappy burgers that's just filler food. Anyway.
But down here it's not burger. Down here it's
barbecue.
Barbecue.
The brisket is the big thing here. But for a long time, people said, once you get to Texas, you got to try Whataburger. You got to try In-N-Out Burger when you're in America. So I had to try all these. But we were in the drive-thru the one day, and we're at the drive-thru of In-N-Out Burger. And on the drive-thru, it has a sign we're hiring. It said $18 an hour to start and up to $22.50, I think it was.
Right.
And the whole place was young Americans, which is something that I hadn't seen in a long time. So
it shouldn't be foreigners, right? It should be your young people are the ones who should work at the McDonald's and the burger places and the chicken places.
Yeah, and we asked the young lady there. She must have been early 20s. And we said, hey, you really making $18 an hour? She's like, yeah, I've been here a couple months. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
They're all so nice to me. Well, how long will it take to get to $22 an hour? She said, actually not that long. It looks like I just got to do some training modules.
Show
and
some
this and that."
initiative,
Yeah.
learn a few more things, progress from whatever, the fryer to the cashier to the whatever. And the next thing you know, you're a junior manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
and that's what entry level jobs are supposed to be too, right? They're not supposed to be permanent. They're there where you learn some basic skills and then use those skills and apply them to another job. Unless you want to make a career working at McDonald's or whatever. I mean, nothing wrong with that. But making a career earning minimum wage, that doesn't work for me. That's not what minimum wage is supposed to be.
But this is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
minimum wage in Texas, I think, is like $5.50 or something.
Oh, is it? So there's no minimum wage, not like we have.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Well, and people aren't relying on minimum wage. Like the restaurants are not hiring at minimum wage. They're obviously
Right.
Well, In-N-Out Burger at 18 an hour. It's like way above $5, right?
Right.
So they're just setting the price based on the market, obviously, and they're getting good people that are happy.
Well, cost of living in the U.S. is so different than the cost of, like, I mean, we're in an Airbnb right now. We walked into the Airbnb and I just went, wow, okay.
We got a pool table at our
Yeah,
Airbnb,
there's a
Marty.
pool table and whatever. And I asked Clyde and like, how much was this Airbnb? It's like $230 for the night and we're packed 4 guys in there. I can't stay at a hotel for that price.
No, you get a one hotel room with 2 beds in it.
Yeah,
for
mind you,
way
we're
more
in a
than-
bit of an off season, but still, it's things are worth what they are, and which is, I guess we're going to get into it at some point, but it is what Trump has been trying to do. Like the society we live in Canada, our society is an artificial society. Things are not worth what they're worth. Like when the stock market crashed, it's a correction. It's overvalued. Inflation in our country has made things expensive. And people say, things have gotten expensive in Canada. They haven't gotten expensive in Canada. Inflation made them expensive.
Yeah.
And this artificial construct, like we don't create things of value. So,
Well, and that's the thing. Like I keep harping on this one because inflation is not rising prices.
no.
Inflation is making new money, printing more money, the increase in the monetary supply. The rising prices is just the effects of inflation.
Yep.
They've got the cart before the horse on the news, and people are completely misinformed on what the nature of all of this is.
Totally. And Trump's trying to correct that.
Now, well, let's get into it. Trump.
Do you want to get into that, or do you
Yeah.
want to get into politics? Because you've been gone for a while, so you're not quite aware of what's going on in politics, or what do you think people want to hear about? When I say politics,
Well,
or Canadian politics, or
What do people want to hear about? What do I want to talk about? And what do I need to be informed on? Those are 3 different things, right?
Right.
So, where do we go from there? I'd like to.
Well, let's do a quick
touch
roundup
on the Trump
on let's do a quick roundup on politics because I was there. That's where I was earlier this week.
Okay,
right?
fair enough. Yeah,
Super
'cause
quick.
You were at the Pierre Poilievre
Right.
rally, one of the biggest political rallies ever in Canadian history.
I think people want to hear that, right? So I went to so Pierre doesn't hide his rallies, so he announces it on the internet for all the world to know and tells you in advance where it's going to be, and then they provide a registration link. But you only need to register to a Poilievre rally because they want to count how many. They want to anticipate how many.
It's not a
people are there.
security-
It's not a security thing.
Yeah.
So I learned about the rally in Edmonton last week. I signed up for it, and then, I think on Sunday they sent us an email saying we're changing venue. And originally it's like, wow, you're in one warehouse. Now you're changing to this ginormous warehouse. So I got a group, 6 of us left from Calgary. We carpooled all the way to Edmonton. We went to the rally. And as soon as we got into the suburbs of Edmonton and Nisku, the traffic jams already. Is like, what's going on, right? and then we show up at this warehouse, and Clyde, it's enormous. It's this brand new warehouse just finishing, and it's enormous. And
It looked like an airplane hangar. It was humongous.
bigger. Like it's one of these new Amazon warehouses, right? And I went walking around the people waiting in line, and people were waiting in line, it was like a tailgating party. Like their chairs, the pickups were backed up, beer, pizzas, everything. It was a blast.
Awesome.
And
I love
then
to hear
the
that.
doors open at they said doors open at 6:30, and man, the line just like filled up, just moved because. Barely any security. The normal security. If you had a backpack, they'd say, come over here and show us your backpack, but not like, show me your ID or your barcode or nothing like that. And then people just crowded in and went in and get organized, and it had the atmosphere of a rock concert, man.
Really?
Like in the end, they said 15,000 people. It had to be 15,000 people. It was a rock concert
For a politician.
for a politician.
In Canada, where people are just not
Yeah,
political.
A quick introduction by a leader of one of the big unions in Edmonton who's endorsing Pierre. That's awesome.
That's really cool,
That's
actually.
really cool because unions don't typically endorse. They used to endorse the NDP, but now they're endorsing the Conservatives. Oh Canada, the classic rendition, you know, in All Thy Sons Command. Like people sing the one that they learn, not the one that they're forced.
Well, they didn't switch to French halfway through,
Nope.
Marty?
No land acknowledgement. And that might be a good thing or a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. I'm tired of land acknowledgements. I think they're just virtue signaling. I mean, if you care, then give the land back. Otherwise, you know.
Yeah, shut up about it.
Shut up about it. And then Stephen Harper came on stage to introduce him. Stephen summarized why we can't vote for Carney in like one 90-second clip.
So I heard that clip today
Yeah.
when we were in the truck. Tell me about that. What did he say?
He basically said, he reminded the crowd, he's like, you know, all the problems faced by everyday Canadians today, and he rhymed them 5 or 6 of them, you know, lack of job opportunities, lack of housing opportunities, rising crime, high inflation. You know, he rhymed off a bunch of problems. He's like, none of those were caused by Trump. And the crowd absolutely erupted. He's like, all those problems are caused by 10 years of liberal failed policies.
This is what we need to hear more of. I was like, yeah, when I heard that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
because, you know, me and you have been talking about this for weeks on end. Stop scapegoating and making the Americans the bad guy in this. That's not what's happening. Yeah, Trump's got a plan with his tariffs,
but the liberals have no choice because they can't campaign on their accomplishments.
no, they can't.
They have none. So they want to distance themselves from their accomplishments as much as possible.
Well, that was another dig that Harper put out there was like, and I happen to be the guy who was, you know, in charge.
Actually, he said one thing before he said that. He said, I happen to be the guy who was the boss of the 2 people currently running. Because, right?
True.
Harper was once Pierre's boss, and he was Carney's boss.
But Marty, the Bank of Canada is an independent body. And
Sure,
they don't...
sure. And then Harper said, you know, one of these 2 guys claims to have been the guy who got us out of the economic crisis of 2008. And Harper's like, no, it was our. He says it very eloquently. He says it was our government. Our government, and that is the fact, right? Maybe even if Carney advised him a little bit, the buck stops at the prime minister. So it would have stopped at Harper in 2008.
Well, actually, like what happened, what went down, I tend to disagree with this economic way of looking at it. So Stephen Harper, obviously trained in economics, very smart guy.
Yep.
He follows, you know, Keynesian economics, very classical, what most politicians follow. I tend to lean towards either the Chicago
This
school.
is good beer, by the way.
It is good beer. I like it. But I tend to lean towards the way the Chicago school looks at it. You know, Milton Friedman, those people, or the Austrian school, Mises, Hayek. They would say don't intervene, like the Canadian government did at the time.
Right.
But Harper's argument was, yeah, you intervene, you step up to the plate, put us in a very good position because we didn't have these big budget deficits. So at the time, he's like, yeah, okay, we'll run deficits to float us through this hard time, and then what needs to happen is a contraction. But Carney, who was the governor of the Bank of Canada at the time, he set interest rates really low to get us out of that moment. Just so to get us out of that moment, but then left the interest rates massively low forever, which is a real big failure in policy.
It's a long-term intervention. He should have, like, I agree.
Short-term
Intervention is very quick, right?
Yes.
Like even like what we saw last week, like when a stock market suddenly looks like it's out of control and it's about to lose like 10% in one day, it's okay for the market to go, oh, we're calling a 15-minute timeout.
Yeah, here's a little liquidity, pop it into the economy.
But Yeah, no. So it was really interesting to hear.
What I'm getting at
Yeah,
is that Mark Carney's trying to take credit, where Harper did something that was helpful. Maybe people might disagree on that, but where we totally can all look at it is that having the interest rates low for so long was the only tool that Carney had.
Right.
And he used that tool, and it caused the asset bubble. And Harper's even talked about it.
Absolutely, because oh, yeah. Hey, Glenn, interest rates are at an all-time low. Like when they're that low, you don't encourage everybody to go out of control spending and borrow more than they can and get bigger mortgages.
But that's just the incentives that are created in that market, and that's what gave us the housing bubble.
Yeah. So no. So after Harper did his speech, then Pierre came out on stage, and then Pierre spoke for a whole 45 minutes and had just the audience in the palm of his hand with some great cheers all the time. And he the Conservatives are presenting a pretty decent platform. They're putting thought into their platform. Like, when we talked about this last week, like, increasing the personal amount for seniors and offering a TFSA and you can put more money in your TFSA if you reinvest the gains in or in Canadian or whatever in your regular account, right? You don't no capital gains. He talked about that. The only thing new he talked about perhaps putting a military base up in the Arctic at Iqaluit, CFB Iqaluit. But everything else that Harper or that Poilievre said was good stuff. But it resonated. Man, the people loved him.
People are excited.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what was the demographic like at this place? Because you were there in person.
Imagine a football match. A tailgate party. It was. I walked the crowd.
Young people, lots of young people,
workers, young people, blue collar people.
Because I think that
family people, like definitely, what I would call a typical Alberta crowd.
Because I honestly think that it's the young people that are gonna be the deciding factor in this election.
Workers, what I would describe, and they weren't Edmontonians, right? Good choice for them to do it in Edmonton, but it attracted a group of Stettler, Red Deer. People came from hours around there, and like I said, I put up a video, folks. If you go find on my feed, I don't have the ability to bring it up to the top, but I walked around the crowd for 5 minutes because I wanted to showcase that it wasn't a liberal thing where they put it on a loop with mirrors and show you 12 people in line. I walked the crowd and there was 500 people in line. And like I said, they're offering me beer and pizza. They're sitting on folding chairs. They're families. They're older. They're blue collar pickup trucks. I mean, and I can contrast that because yesterday I went to the Carney event. And Carney's event is a complete 100% contrast. So Carney, I get the email. So I'm still a Liberal member, right? Even so, I joined the Liberal Party. So I get but Carney sent out emails he advertised that he was doing an event in Calgary. You had to register. So I registered. They wouldn't tell us where. They just said it's in Calgary on Tuesday. We'll tell you later after you register. I register. Tuesday by about 10, 5 hours before the event or 6 hours, I finally get literally a barcode on my phone. And then you go to the event and you have to show the barcode and pull out a piece of ID.
Whoa.
And the place is packed. Okay, so first of all, and he did it at the Red White Club, it's called, which holds 900 people. That's all he's going to get is 900 people there. Security coming out of the yin-yang. Sure, he's prime minister, so he has more security, but he hired, by the way, no security at the Pierre event. I shook hands with him.
I'm sure he had security.
Sure, but it's not in your face. He had his usual guy with the earpiece, and a little bit of private security, but nothing compared to Carney. I get it. Carney's the prime minister, so he has more security. But to go to Carney's event, had to go through security, do the whole shebang, and then you have to agree to the terms of good behavior of the Liberal Party. So you can't. So if you yell out during the event or interrupt him or do something, which a few people did, you get security escorts you out because you violated their terms. and then Carney. I mean, before you ask me, the crowd half those people look like they'll be dead in the next 2 years.
Really, there's no young people.
No.
There's no workers.
It's old. It's. I felt like asking that.
They had some people in hard hats behind. I saw the footage.
They're always brand new hard hats, right? Never a stain on them. They're always brand new hard hats with, But yeah, so Carney's event was like boring. You're sitting there. I mean, I felt dumber being there because the things he promises and the way people clap, I just can't. I don't understand. Like he would literally contradict. Like, here's an example. So we're in Texas. This is the most glaring one, right? He starts out his speech on Tuesday night by saying something along the lines of, "We've enjoyed a great relationship with the Americans. It's helped us prosper. It's lasted 150 years. Okay, great. It's over.
It's over.
It's over." I'm like, can you imagine that? Yeah, you and I have been friends for 10 years now, but we just had a fight. It's over. No. If we have a fight, Clyde, along the way, which friends do, which neighbors do.
That usually strengthens a relationship.
Sure, you get over it. Nope, Carney's like, it's over. And if the Americans aren't ready to lead, we will. And I'm going to turn Canada into the greatest economic power in the world has ever seen, and we'll lead a new coalition of countries.
Because, yeah, who wants to sign up for that?
Yeah, and then people applaud him. I'm like, did you actually hear what he just said? You're applauding your friend's divorce instead of saying maybe we should sit down with the Americans and figure out, And did you see that? I mean, that was a friend of the channel, Kirk, did that, right? He posted something yesterday. Nations that as soon as the Americans announced their tariffs, a bunch of nations said, hey, whoa, hang on one second. Can we meet? Can we talk about this? Mm-hmm. A bunch of other nations says, oh, okay, we get it. We're not going to do anything. We're going to wait and see how that happens. And then two nations said, oh no, we're fighting back hard and we're imposing our own tariffs. Canada and China.
Yeah, I got it here. So he tweets this out with this map.
Yeah.
Right? It's a set of flags. And it shows like all these nations that are negotiating to trade, a bunch of them that are offering concessions.
Yep.
So it's like either you trade or you just you say, okay, I'll capitulate to what you're asking for.
Yep.
And then there's retaliated countries, China,
Canada,
and Canada. What are you like? What is wrong with you?
And again, I have to emphasize this because we don't need to pick on our viewers, because you guys are smart, but we are arming you with information because you're going to meet a lot of people that aren't so smart. So you need to do this as a favor. You need to educate everybody you talk to. I didn't see any, but apparently somewhere all over the U.S., the Canadian government spent money on billboards saying tariffs hurt American taxpayers. Okay, so they do,
it's
right?
It's true.
So then yesterday at the rally, Carney announced, as of noon today, we're imposing tariffs on American goods. Well, wouldn't tariffs hurt Canadian taxpayers?
Absolutely.
You spend a fortune advertising that it hurts Americans when they put tariffs on our goods. So when we put but as soon as he announced the tariffs, the whole crowd.
So I saw the U.S.
So frustrating, Clyde.
U.S. Treasury Secretary. He was on what was it? Was it I was watching a program. He was on there. And one of the lines he said was, well, if tariffs are so bad, why do you have them?
Right.
And historically, Canada's had many tariffs on so many different things. It's trade protectionism. I don't agree with it. I agree with the idea of, for a temporary measure, use tariffs against the country that's tariffing you as an incentive to take tariffs away. Like, oh, how do you like it? You know what I mean? Like, how do you like it?
Yeah.
And then get the other guy to stop. It's a tactic against people who are bullying you. You say, let me give you a little taste of your own medicine. Wow, you don't like that? Perhaps we didn't like it. We haven't liked this for a long time.
Right.
And now it's time to stop. And I think Canada needs to move forward with that. But I don't.
We're on the same page there. I mean,
we're totally on the same page. But I don't think it's really about the tariffs for the political class right now.
No.
I think they're using this as an opportunity to get Canadians mad at Americans, so they have a scapegoat, so that they can try to win an election. Who's more mad at the Americans, this guy or that guy?
Well, that's the other weird language that Carney uses all the time. I'm going to protect workers. From what? From the fact that Americans don't want to buy your goods? You don't need that. The slogan is not we're going to protect workers. The slogan should be Canadian workers are going to become better and will make a product so desirable that the rest of the world will want it. Like, there's no need to, Trump is not attacking Canadian workers. He's simply saying, I'm not going to buy your second-rate goods or your or goods that you compete against me with. So yeah, no, it's
Or you're gonna create barriers to entry to your market. Well, we're gonna create barriers to entry to our market.
yeah, yeah.
Done.
I mean, you know, like we joked about this today. Like me and Clyde went for some barbecue. Imagine if I were having barbecue and next door there's a pizza shop and nobody's going to that pizza shop, and that pizza shop decided, well, I'm mad at my clients. It's my client's fault, and I'm going to charge more because my clients aren't buying my pizzas. You would never do that, right? Like the client's always right.
Yeah, the
customer's always right. So if nobody's buying your pizza, make a better pizza.
Make a better pizza. Make a better price for your pizza.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a choice when it comes to pizza. Make a better pizza for, you can keep the price high, make a better pizza.
Or do the 2-for-1 or offer a free drink or do something.
I've had a lot of 99-cent pizzas in my day.
Oh, yeah?
And not one of them was good.
Yeah, so but then we landed today, and I guess Trump decided to give a 90-day break to a lot of countries.
Everyone that came to the table.
Except us.
Everyone that came to the table gets a 90-day reprieve from the tariffs.
From the tariffs.
Dude,
90 days to come and negotiate.
That worked.
Yep.
It worked. It got a lot of people to come to the table. And then 90 days is a good amount of time to get in there and negotiate, right?
If you have a leader. We don't have a leader still.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
So I want to get on this because, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? You can't say, well, we don't have a leader, so Mark Carney can't do anything. But Mark Carney can sign orders in council, ostensibly an executive order to do things that you are not really supposed to be doing unless you have the parliament sitting.
He terminated their relationship with our biggest partner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can't do that.
No.
Clyde, while you were gone, actually, he broke.
I've been gone a week and a half.
He broke another major law this week. He used an executive order
to fund the government.
To fund the government.
That's right.
And people said, well, you can do that as a caretaker government. No. He was supposed to do that in advance and get that settled.
And then go to an election.
That is one of the most entrenched things in our Constitution, and it is one of the things we've been mocking for years. The way we manage money in this country. Our founders had thought of that. Like, no money should be spent without being discussed in the House of Commons.
No taxation without representation.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
But the Liberals,
you can't just spend money without have at least. Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I agree with the way they're spending our money, but at least it's supposed to go through the representative that you elect in the House of Parliament. And
it's for a good cause. I get it. We need to keep government running, but you guys they're messing up so bad that they're so bad at doing their job that they're having to, I mean, when I first saw that executive order yesterday, I was like, it's got to be 40 million. 40 million. Oh, no, it's 40 billion. Oh,
it was $40 billion.
$40 billion.
He just allocated $40 billion to stuff.
Yeah.
Without even the will of the governed.
No debate, no discussion, nothing. Yeah, that's the country we're in. So,
but that's a new precedent. So that means that any time that a prime minister wants to, because this is going to go unchallenged.
Yes.
It's going to go unchallenged. Any time in the future that a prime minister wants to just straight up spend money, they'll be like, well, we have a precedent for that.
Yeah.
We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to just order in council, commit to this funding.
Sounds like your laptop just showed up. Your laptop just showed
And
up. And another beer.
both of us.
Look at that.
Well, that one's for Marty.
Wait, can you get another one?
Thank you. That's awesome. I'm gonna need this for the chats later.
Yeah. So let's not dwell on it too much. But what I'm telling people is don't believe the polls, folks. Like, absolutely do not believe the polls. The polls are garbage. And maybe next week we need to talk about Polymarket. Like, we need to talk about that next week.
We gotta talk
about
next
week. Let's give it another week. But everybody's bringing up the polls as an indicator, and then this other thing called the Polymarkets. And I went and got educated on the Polymarkets and met with a guy who knows what they're all about. And I just went, the Polymarkets are being manipulated.
Well, before we get into that, well, you say you want to talk about it next week. We can talk about it a bit tonight. But
Sure.
the polls, I want to say to people, yeah, you look at the Poilievre rallies.
Yeah.
That's massive.
15,000 people.
Cannot deny the fact that this many people are coming out.
$7,000 and 7,000 people in Sault Ste. Marie today.
Is there 7,000 people in Sault Ste. Marie anymore? Like, that's what's
Yeah,
nuts
yeah,
about
yeah.
it. With, like, where it's been going. That's crazy. 7,000 people in Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah.
I was born in Sault Ste. Marie.
Were
There's
you?
there's not a lot happening in Sault Ste. Marie. Like, we ended up moving down to Windsor when I was like 8 years old because there's not a lot happening.
Yeah, the Sioux.
The Sioux. Yeah.
Okay.
I was born in the Sioux. So that's impressive. Like, don't get me wrong. All of this is super impressive. Very, very much so. But let's not discount the fact that something really changed when Justin Trudeau stepped away from the party, the Liberal Party. Because, and
Other than the fact that he
feel like
stole his chair in the House of Commons and emptied all the cupboards in the cottage and took everything with him. Yeah, sure.
yeah, he's the old.
He's the guy who goes into the hotel and steals all the towels, all the shampoos, everything.
He's what people colloquially call the see you next Tuesday guy.
Yeah.
So, but I really want to emphasize this because people are discounting this. I think a lot of people are discounting this, and should not. It could be closer than we think because of this phenomenon.
Yes.
And this is the fact that there are so many Liberal MPs all across Canada that the people who live in those ridings like their Liberal MP. They hated Trudeau.
Right.
And they made their voices clear on this.
The people in Newfoundland love Ken McDonald.
Yes.
We met him, or we didn't meet him, but we've heard
talked
him.
about him many
We
times.
talked about him. His people like him, but they were at the point where they're going to go, where they said,
Forget you.
Ken, if it's still Dum-Dum, we're not voting for you.
That's right.
But
That's
now
right.
Dum-Dum's gone, and now people are going,
And Ken's not walking across the aisle.
yeah.
Ken's not switching to the Conservative
And they're
Party.
doing, but honestly, I think people are doing backflips to fall in love with Carney because there's not much to like there.
There's not much to like.
I mean, the longer this campaign goes on, I think more people are going to despise him. I mean,
Sure, but this is well, and I hope that's the case. I really hope that's the case because where it differs from like American politics, and I know there's a lot of Americans that watch this show, so this is something to pay attention to. When Americans vote for their president, they're voting for their president. In Canada, you're not voting for the prime minister. You're voting for your local member of parliament. And then whichever party has the most plurality or majority of, they get to their leader gets to become the prime minister of Canada, and that's how it works generally. And this is why I'm actually like, hold on a second, folks. Let's not celebrate too much. Let's look at this.
No, you're 100%. That's the way it technically works. But I know when people are putting their name on their ballot, they're just going liberal, conservative. They're not even reading the names anymore. They're voting for a party. But yeah, we'll see. It's week 2 or 3 now. Carney's starting to have not quite bozo eruptions, but he's saying things that
Come on, he was campaigning for Pierre.
yeah,
He was campaigning for Pierre. I tweeted
we
that
have the
clip
clip,
out.
right? Like they're trying to, and at the rally yesterday, there was 2 interruptions. There was one interruption, somebody screaming out something. I can't remember if he was pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, but that guy got like grabbed by the collar and hauled out of there real quick.
Yeah.
And then the second interruption was a guy yelling, "Why are you buying F-35s from the U.S.?" Right? And while they were grabbing that guy and hauling him off, Carney was basically like, "Let me answer," and then, but then somebody else is almost grabbing him, going, "No, don't answer."
Shut up.
Like they don't want him talking, and it was obvious yesterday. Like, don't talk.
No kidding.
When
Because
he-
when he does, he says the dumbest things. Like right. What was it?
When
said-
he was talking, I wanted to yell at him all the time. Like he's like, I'm so happy to be back in Alberta. I owe my education to Alberta. You feel like yelling, "You went to Harvard." Like,
Harvard's not in Alberta.
No,
in case anyone
like-
didn't know. Like,
Yeah.
that's,
yeah.
that's crazy. But then he says this one thing where he's like, Pierre Poilievre, he's gonna stop all the foreign funding.
Yeah.
And then his modus operandi for that, his MO, is so that he can cut taxes. Like as if that's a bad thing. Like,
He
what?
even went further and he says, Pierre wants to cut too many taxes. I'm like, okay,
That's great.
yeah, nobody's worried about that. Yeah, it's the one thing I'm worried about though, or I'm surprised, nobody's talked budgets yet. Remember the last election or 2 elections ago, like where Trudeau was always saying, like, I promise to have little deficits or whatever. They don't even talk budgets right now. Like, we don't even know what they're thinking about.
Like, not even the Conservatives.
Not the Conservatives, not the Liberals. Nobody's talking budgets. And
They're
then we'll know. So we'll see if things. I think things are changing a little bit. I think the more people hear Carney, the less they like him. But we'll know for a fact. Like if the Liberals bring out the abortion card next week, then we won. So that's still my canary in the coal mine. When the Liberals start talking about abortion and women's rights, I'm like, okay, now you're losing.
Yeah, because that's their that's always their like.
That's their canary. That's it. Or not their canary, their whatever. I'm sure there's an expression there, but when all else fails, break glass and pull out this little piece of paper and say, "What about women's right?"
Yeah. I hope they do. I hope to see that happen. Because, I mean, Pierre Poilievre's made it pretty clear he's not going to touch that issue.
No, it's been resolved, man. That's been resolved since the 1980s.
Yeah, it's not even a Canadian.
No, it's not a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so interesting week. What else happened this week? Gretzky broke a record.
Gretzky's record was broken.
Gretzky's record got broken. Nobody talked about that. Because, again, they equated that with, like, Gretzky is associated with Trump right now, so supposedly I'm supposed to be mad at Gretzky. I'm like, I'm not going to be mad at Gretzky. Okay, again, the contradiction. You guys are, like, elbows up, all the hockey analogies. Wayne Gretzky is the greatest player of all time, but instead of celebrating Gretzky, whose record just got broken, but that's we should still celebrate Gretzky.
Oh, for sure.
They're trying to demonize him because what? He was hanging out with
Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. And others. And then they're demonizing Ovechkin, who broke his record because he's Russian. So I'm like, okay, we're screwed now. Like, we can't celebrate. So what do? They pull out Mike Myers and put Mike Myers in a hockey jersey, and let's talk about Mike Myers, and let's have, let's reminiscent about the good old days.
I was talking to Ben Bankus the other day. He's a comedian from Toronto. He's moved down to Austin now, and he was talking about, like, hauling Mike Myers out in front of people.
Yeah.
His opinion was like, yeah, you pay a guy in outfield, come out.
Totally.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's so detached from Canada. He's been outside of Canada forever. I'm sure he has some, like, memory of a long time past, and he's nostalgic, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll come.
Well,
what? A couple of $1 million or
sure.
a couple of $10 million, something like that? Sure, I'll come out and do that. I'll wear a Canadian Tire shirt. What? Like,
well,
what
he's
is
been
that?
gone so long that when they were doing that video, he's like Casey and Finnegan, whatever, green. Like, they were bringing up references to Canadiana
from the 80s.
Then even I was like, I don't even know what he's talking about. Like, he didn't mention modern bands or modern teams or anything like that. Yeah, they were totally nostalgic. I don't want to keep going on Carney, but Carney gets called out on that all the time too, because he's talking about a Canada that he doesn't even know exists.
Well, he
has no reference to it.
He mentioned a neighborhood in his riding that isn't even in his riding anymore. He hadn't even had a clue.
Yeah, it's kind of like, the last time the Blue Bombers won the Grey Cup, the Blue who? Like, dude, how long have you been gone? Like, he's just bringing up references like that make it obvious.
Marty, I've been gone for a week and a half. I feel like I've been gone as long as Mike Myers. It's insane.
Hey, I got to say this. This stuff makes it weird. Like, when I'm looking at you, like, there's
some sort of reflection.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's all cool. It's cool. This is so cool. It's a freaking awesome studio.
It's fantastic.
This is different, folks. I don't know if you can tell, but we don't have to pause our chatting, because when we're doing it usually remotely, if we both talk at the same time, especially me, because I live out in the boonies and I have shitty internet, like, no, none of us are frozen yet. Hey, hang on. Let's make the viewers comfortable. Let's freeze.
Yeah, right. So now it's really good. It's really good because
and we have no headset, so now we're literally talking to each other.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
This is really awesome.
Yeah.
This is really awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, looking forward to that, because maybe we'll have more of that in the future as things progress and things get better for the channel here. Yeah. So just a reminder, this is a live show that takes place every Wednesday at 6:30 Pacific. That's 9:30 Eastern. If you're watching this after the fact, this is the live show. And when we do it live, The second part of the show is actually the question and answer. So if you're hanging out for the live and you're like, oh, we're wrapping up to the end of the show. No, we're not wrapping up to the end of the show live.
Don't hang up.
Don't navigate away from the page, because we're still live for probably another good hour and a half, that kind of thing, depending on how active the chat is. But this is the live event. If you're watching this as a recorded video, tune in to one of the live events. It's fantastic. There's so many great people in the chat. I find the community to be like, I've seen some communities online where people are bickering at each other. Everyone's super cool.
Oh, we watched a chat before we get on, and they're talking to each other like they're old friends.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Hey, before we go to the Q&A, let's bring up just a couple of other events that occurred while you were gone last week. Unfortunately, Tamara Litch and Chris Barber both got.
I read that.
Yeah, so
I read that.
They were convicted of a lower. The judge had a long ruling, like talked for whatever, an hour and a bit, explaining before he got down to it. But ultimately, it's mischief, the lowest form. It's basic mischief.
Basic mischief.
Yeah.
So like sentencing has.
So $10 million, 16 months. Basic mischief is what the government spent to prosecute 2 Canadians.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years of lawfare.
Yes.
And so I have a theory on this. And my theory is because there was a bunch of charges. They had a whole list of charges. All of them got dropped, and then they threw that one on there.
Yep.
I think they didn't want the justice system to be embarrassed by this whole thing.
They got that. They wanted the ruling to happen after the election or after Trudeau. It didn't embarrass Trudeau.
Yeah.
Yeah. They dragged it on to this point.
But not only that, if it would have been judged that they were completely innocent of all the charges, that they were doing everything, Marty, they declared a state of emergency because they couldn't nail him on any laws. They suspended civil liberties. They froze people's bank accounts. They did all of this stuff just to get them to the point where they could nab them for something, make up some like Banana Republic charges on them, take 3 years to make it happen in the court system. And then they're like, wow.
Yeah, inmates at
something.
I think inmates at Guantanamo Bay had shorter trials.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think they put those charges on them to say, well, at least it was justified somehow. Yeah. Not to mention, a court reviewed the Emergencies Act
and said it was illegal.
It was illegal.
Yeah. It should have been dropped. So Tamara's and Chris's and others, as far as I'm concerned, that should have all been dropped.
All the charges should have been dropped way ahead of time.
Yeah.
Not even like continuing.
And the saga's not over yet because we don't know what the sentencing is going to be. But
I have a feeling they did that so that they don't have the ability to sue. But I'd like to talk to some more people in legal to see if they still have grounds to sue. Because I think that they should have the right to sue the pants off the government.
Well, I mean, again, friend of the channel, Eva and Jeff Rath are doing that on behalf of people who victims of the vaccine and people whose businesses were affected. So it's coming. I mean, there will be, for Tamara and Chris, there's definitely some sort of lawsuit in there. I'm sure of it.
They'd have.
I mean, they were denied due process as far as I'm concerned. 3 years. 3 years that you have to wait on. No, it's not done. They're not done. They still have to wait for their sentencing. So that's unfortunate.
Your whole life's on hold because you didn't like a political decision by a politician.
Yep.
And so you protested all within the legal means against that politician, and you get run through the courts like this.
And then we're running out of time, but one last story that you might have missed while you were gone. Again, you live in a funny province, man. Do you see
British
what happened?
Columbia.
Did you see what happened to Jagmeet Singh this week?
Oh, what? Fill me in.
So Jagmeet is now hired a person on his PR account. He hired his own promoter.
Oh,
right?
I did hear about this.
He's got an influencer promoter that was always in all his videos and whatever.
He didn't do a background check.
He didn't do a background check. She's got a big OnlyFans page or whatever. So Jagmeet Singh basically hired a porn star. I swear to God, he's throwing the election. He's got to be throwing it.
He's throwing it.
He's throwing it.
He's not going to get reelected, even to his seat.
Yeah.
And I guess that's his way of going out.
Yep.
He doesn't want to do the...
Go out with a bang.
Man, that's
gee.
too good. That's too good.
I don't. You know what? That would be. It's a consolation prize. If Jagmeet doesn't get elected and his party gets annihilated, that's a consolation prize. A really huge consolation prize. Let's say the Liberals do win, but if the Liberals win, but Carney doesn't win his seat, that would be a huge. I'll take that as a consolation prize.
If the Liberals win,
Yeah.
America gets the
And
consolation
you and
prize
I have
of
been talking
Alberta.
about this for weeks now. Like, do we need to go do a road show and a trip somewhere? We collectively this week driving up with my friends to the Poiliev event in Edmonton. We're all pretty much on it. Like Eva wants to do this, and Andy Lee and Kirk and a bunch of others. We think we should go to Edmonton and we should go campaign for Barb Ball, whatever, the lady who's running in Nepean against Carney. We need to go door knocking in Nepean.
In Nepean?
Yes. And we need to make a big show in the last week of the campaign, and we need to go and try and defeat Carney. I think that'd be hilarious.
Dude, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
We just fly to Ottawa and get a whole bunch of people to come with us, and we go door knocking and just hold up posters and just flood Nepean with conservative signs for a week.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I think we should do that.
Something like that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Do we have to register as
Nope. As lobbyists?
yeah, or as a don't they have like a third party campaign laws?
I'm sure they try and throw it at us, but really,
Come at me, bro.
come at me. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's way too funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so this is the Marty and Clyde show for, well, that would be Thursday. What's the date today?
April 9th.
That would be Thursday, April 10th. That's when that goes up. But stick around. This is the live show, and if you're watching this after the fact and you haven't tuned in for the live show is a lot of fun. It goes on we're probably going to go on for a good amount of time extra. So
Tell us how you like this format, too. I mean, the format in terms of the chat's the same, but what do you think of the studio?
Marty, where can people find you?
Marty Up North on Twitter and Marty Up North on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.